All right, welcome back to this beautiful and awesome lesson. In this episode, we'll be looking at jump statements. Okay, so the concept of jump statement is very vital when it comes to game development. Jump statement works with the loop. Okay, so without a loop, there's no jump statement. Okay, so let's say you are building a game, okay, a game application. In some points, you want to immediately stop the loop. Okay, you surely must stop the loop. Other than that, the game or the application might crash. Okay, so the jump statement is there for you to be able to control the loop on how you want it. Okay, which of the loop that you want it to run, how do you want it to go, how far you want it to go. You want it to be eliminating some of the whole functionality of the loop and all the concept that come with it. Okay, so the jump statement is there to support you and assist you to do all that. Okay, so this make jump statement very vital when it comes to application and game development. All right, so now you understand the concept better when we start coding. Okay, so jump statement also works with a return, break, and continue. But the return statement is very easy to understand. So we are going to understand the break and the continue as we are progressing in this episode. Okay, so without much ado, guys, let's dive in, get to code, and understand the concept better.
Code Afric. Unlock the future.
All right, now let's create a for loop. So we say for int I, okay, which is an index, is equal to what? 0. And here we said the index, which is I, is less than 10. Okay, then we say what? I plus plus. Now inside here we saw what? C out. We are only printing the value of I. Okay, then we end our line. Now when you run this one on the screen, what are you going to get? Okay, so let's run it. Okay, we run it. Okay, remember to bring this one, okay, using the namespace std. Okay, other than that, your code will not run. Now that we have it, now let's run it. Okay, all right, so now let's see what we have on the screen. We have what? 0 to what? 9, because we said what? The index is less than 10, so that is what we have it here. Okay, so now let's say we don't want to print 7. Okay, we don't want 7 to show on the screen, so what do we do? That is where our concept also comes in. Okay, the jump statement concept comes in. All right, now we can do this with the concept of if statement and a keyword called continue. Okay, so it is the continue that does the magic. Okay, so this is how it goes. Okay, so here we will say if I, okay, is equal to 5. So if this I, this one is a comparison operator. Okay, so it is comparing if I is equal to 5. Okay, so if I is equal to 5, this is not assignment operator. It's not single equal to, it's double equal to. Okay, so if I is equal to 5, then what should we do? Then here we say what? Continue. Just continue. Okay, the continue is a master keyword that is doing the magic for us. Okay, so the concept here is that we are saying that when you run the loop, okay, when you run the loop for the first time, you add 1 to it, so it become 1. You run it for the second time, become 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. But when you run and see a portion of 5, the place that you have to add 1 to become 5, don't read that one. Okay, so continue means that like we are escaping the 5 and moving forward. Supposedly, if you are using 7, then we are escaping 7 and be moving forward. If you are using 6, then we are escaping 6 and moving forward. So now let's run the program and understand the concept better. So if you can check from here, you can see that we have what? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but we don't have 6. Okay, but we have 7, 8, 9, and co. Okay, so in the same scenario, if we change it to 5, we are not going to have 5. And we can see that we don't have 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and it jumped to 6. Okay, so this is how it works. All right, just understand the concept. It's very, very easy concept. Just understand how it works and you are good to go. All right, so now we can add more conditions here. Okay, let's say we don't want to print 3 on the screen. Okay, so let's say we don't want to print 3. So we said I equals 3. Okay, we can add more conditions, or I equals 9. We are not going to see 9 on the screen too. So let's run it and see what we get. Okay, so you can see here we don't have 5, we don't have 3, and we don't have 9. Okay, so that is basically that. It's very simple. Just understand the concept and you are good to go. Okay, so you first have to run your for loop. Okay, so within your for loop, the numbers that you want to escape, use a if statement to write the numbers. Okay, with an or. Okay, then you come with a magic keyword, which is the continue, and you are good to go. All right, now let's explain the break concept. Okay, Now the break concept is very simple. I'm going to use the continuous example here to convert it to what the break concept. Okay. Now with the break concept, we run our for loop like this. And here we said if, let's use the same concept. Okay. So if I equals 5, okay. So if I equals 5, then what are we doing? Instead of continue, we say what? Break. Very simple as that. Okay. So if I equals 5, then we say break. Now, what are we going to get when we run this code? Let me show you first. And now you can see that we do not have 5. It's not only 5 that we do not have. Any of the loop that continue from 5 coming down, we do not get all. Okay. Unlike the continuous statement, with the continuous statement, it will just escape the 5 and continue with the 6, 7, and co. But with the break, it will just terminate the loop when it gets to where 5 is. Okay. It will just terminate the loop without printing out 5, and the rest of the loop that has to continue, it will not print it at all. Okay. So for instance, if you change here to 3, that means immediately you get to 3, it's going to terminate it and it's not going to print any of the program that follows. Okay, it's going to break it at once. Okay, so it is the loop that is terminating. But let's say if there is something that follows, that thing must continue. Okay, now let's say something like what? See out. Okay, let's say see out. Hello programmers. Then let's end it. We end the line like this. Now when you run this one, we can see that it continues by printing this one. How many times? 3 times. 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so when the loop runs for the first, second, and third, when you get to the third, that it must be printed to get the fourth one. It will not do it. Okay, it will terminate everything. Okay, all right. So by then, if you're having any code below here, that does not affect the loop. It will go ahead and run it. Okay. All right. So like I said, the break concept is very, very simple to understand. Okay. So the break will just terminate the loop. Okay. It will not terminate the entire program, but it will terminate the loop. Okay. So that the loop will not continue. When it gets to the point that you set it, when it says 7, when it gets to 7, it will terminate it. But unlike the continue, with the continue concept, it will not terminate it, but it will escape that particular number that you fixed in. Okay, that one will not be printed out. It will escape that one and continue from there. But the break will terminate it and would not continue. Okay, just take it as that. And with the break also, when it terminates the loop, okay, and anything that comes with the concept of the loop, when let's say if you're having additional programs, it will run perfectly. Let's say we are seeing out what I love coding and to share. When you are seeing out this, that one will run. Okay, let's open it and see. So now we have it here. After it terminated it at the 6 points, okay, then when you go to the 7 points, then it's jumped that one and came to the down there and printed this one on our screen. I love coding and to share. Okay, all right. So this is the concept that I would like you guys to understand. Okay, so it is very, very simple. Just practice it in the concept of loop that you have learned so far and get it working, and you are good to go. Okay.
Hello and welcome back to this beautiful and awesome lesson. In this episode, we'll be looking at switch statements. Okay, now switch statement works like the if-else statement. Okay, but myself and other programmers, we do prefer using the switch statement to the if-else statement. Okay, and you understand it better whilst you are still progressing. Okay, but the switch statement is used in some cases. Okay, all right, so you understand all when we start coding. All right, so now let's get to coding and get our hands dirty. All right, so now let's begin by creating the if statement. Okay, but you begin with a variable. So let's create a variable of x and let's assign it to 2. So our normal if statement. Now if x is equal to 2, then what are we doing? Then we say see out x is having a value of 2. Okay, so let's end it, end the line here. And remember, it's a statement. Okay, so we have to put it in a quotation like this. Okay, now this is what you know. Okay, you already know this one. Okay, so when you run this one, what are we going to get? Let's run it and see. And there we go. We have it what x is having a value of 2. Okay, now we want to convert this if statement to a switch statement. Okay, so let's see how we can do that. All right, so we are converting this one to the switch statement. So with the switch statement, we will need 3 keywords. Okay, the switch itself, case, and what break. Okay, so now let's go ahead and see how it works. So we say switch. Okay, so now we say switch, then we put in the x. Okay, this x. Now after we put in, the next step is what? Your case. So we say case. Okay, and let's call this one case 2. Okay, so case 2, then you put in double column, okay, not a semicolon, okay, double column. Okay, so then you come here, then we say C out. Let's print this one. Then we are seeing out if S is having a value of 2. Okay, now let me comment this one. So I've commented this one. So let's run this code. Okay, this is a switch statement. Let's run the code and see the outcome. And there we go. X is having a value of 2. Okay. All right. So now let me show you something. Let's say we want to check if X is having a value of 1. Okay. So now we state in our case again. So we say case 1. Okay. And we are saying what? We say C out. S is having a value of 1. In the case we run this code, what will happen? Now let's run it and let me show you something. Yeah, so before you run the code, remember we have to change this one to what? 1, okay? Because we are checking the first case, okay? If you don't change this value to 1, it will go ahead and run the second case. Now, let's run it and see. Now, we are having it here, okay? See what we are having. S is having a value of 1, and it went ahead to print the second one, which is what? The S is having a value of 2, and we asked ourselves why. Let's understand the reason why it prints all at a go. It's because we didn't use what? Break. Remember, we are using 3 keywords. Switch. Now switch is here, case is here. Now it's remaining with what? Break. Now if you don't bring the break keyword, the compiler will go ahead and run the second line of code. Okay, so what you do is after running this one, then you tell the compiler to do what? To break it. Okay, so break like this. Okay, so now when we run the code, it's going to print only the first one, but the second one will not be printed. And we can see X is having a value of 1 as expected. Okay, so that is the function of the break keyword. Now you can have as many cases as you want. Okay, so let's say we have a case 3, and let's see out. Okay, so we are seeing out if S is having a value of 3. Okay, all right. So now as it stands now, if you run the code, what are you going to get? And we say break. Let's bring the break here, and we have to break this one too. Now as it stands now, if you run the code, what are you going to get? Yeah, sure, definitely we are going to get only the first one running. Okay, and there we go, we are having the first one running. That says what? S is having a value of 1. So if you want the second one to be run, what do you have to do? We have to change the variable, the value of the variable here, X is to equals what? 2. So when you change it to 2 and run the code, and we have it. Okay, S is having a value of 2. And if you want the third one to run, you do the same thing by changing this one to 3. Okay, all right. So now we can see that we are changing the values manually, which is not really ideal. Okay, so we want it to be a dynamic whereby the user himself or herself will be changing the values, or will be typing the values. Okay, so now what do we do? What do you do about that one? I think we are clear with this one, so let's take it out. What do? We can do what? We can do C out, enter the value, or better still, please enter the value of X. Okay, and we end it like this. Okay, then we see in to what? X. All right, so the next step is that we don't have to assign any value to X. Okay, now we are doing it automatically. So now when we print this one, okay, when I run the code, you can see that what? Please enter the value of S. Now if I put in, let's say 1, it says what? X is having a value of 1. Okay, and in the same manner, please enter the value of X. When I put in 3, S is having a value of 3. Okay, all right. Now the problem that you'll be having here is that it says please enter the value of X. What if I put in like 5? Okay, the code crash. Okay, let's look at how we can at least handle this one. All right, so we can solve this issue with the same concept of if-else statement. Okay, so with the if-else statement, if the if statement is false, then the else statement will run. Okay, so if the if statement is true, then the if statement will run. Okay, so with the same concept, we are going to look at how to handle this one. Okay, so that the user will know the particular value that it is needed to be inputted. Okay, or to type. Now, there's one keyword that I would also like to talk about, which is the defaults. All right, the default. Okay, so we use the default to handle the issue like that. Okay, so what we do is that we come here and let's write the default. So we use the keyword default followed by double column. Okay, then we write our statement here. Okay, so then we say C out X is, now let's put it in a quotation, X is having a value, let's say greater than 3 and less than 1. Okay, greater than 3 or less than 1. Okay, so we end it like this. Please, I hope you understand what you are doing here. All what you are saying is that, like, how many cases do we have? We have 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so we are saying that the default here is saying that in a case the user puts in anything more than 1, 2, and 3, then we want this one to be printed on the screen, okay, to alerting the user that the value that he's allowed to input is what, either 3 or what, 1. That's why we say the value of s, okay, or s is having a value greater than 3 and less than 1. So less than 1 means what? Okay, now I think we have to change the statement. S is having a value. I think it will be better if you do like this. S is having a value from 1 to 3. Okay, maybe something like this. Okay, simple and short. X is having a value from 1 to 3. So you are telling the user that in case the user type anything like 50 or 10 or whatever, you tell the user that, oh no, the S is having a value from 1 to 3. Okay, or you can change it. This one is just a statement. Okay, so you can change it and put it anyhow you want it. So you can say, please type the correct numbers. It's from 1 to 3. Anything. Now let's run it and see. Okay, so enter X. So now I put in 5. Okay, we don't have 5. So when I hit enter, it says what? X is having a value from 1 to 3. Okay, awesome. Awesome. So you can see we do not do anything at all. We just use what, the default statement. And with the default also, we're able to get it working perfectly like that. Okay, so you might be asking me, does the default come with a break? Yeah, if you like, you can put it there. If you like, you can leave it. Okay, because that is the last line of code. Okay, so if you like, you can bring the break. If you like, you can leave it. It will still work. Okay. All right. So like I said before, the switch statement, it is used in some specific cases. Let's say you are building a game that allow the user to put in the right number or the magic number. Okay, then you set a specific numbers that the user to input. Okay, when the user try it and able to get the right number, then you congratulate the user or you tell him that he has win. Okay, or something like that. In this cases, then you are good to go to use the switch statement. But in a case that maybe we are checking the age of someone, we are checking the score and the grade of students and co, please, I will urge you to use the if else statement, because with the switch statements, it is being meant for specific numbers. Like for instance, we can have as many cases as we want, but let's say we are having maybe numbers from 1 to 10, but we want the user to put in the right number. Maybe the magic numbers within 1 to 10 are 3, 5, and 7. Okay, so if this be the case, then you use the switch statement to check if the user will be able to get the magic number. In terms like this, then I think you are good to go to carry on with the switch statement. Other than that, please, you are good to go to use what, your if else statement. That one, it's cut across. You can use it to do many decision makings as you want. All right. So that will be all for this episode. So let's end here. Come back on the next one and learn more.